Hello, everybody. Hello from India. My name is Arjun Vagale, and I'm really glad to have contributed a couple of samples to Kyle's great plan of putting things together for new producers. So, I have some samples that Kyle will actually give you, and I'm sure there'll be a link in the description somewhere. So, I've got a couple of bass samples, kicks, percussions, and quite a few synth sounds. Now, the fun thing about samples is that you don't really need to use them the way they are. These samples were recorded at a pretty decent quality using a lot of the gear that you see back here. But samples are fun. They're fun to use, and there are many ways that you can make these samples your own. So one thing that I like to do with samples when I use them is I like to put them in the DAW and stretch them. Now Ableton's really good for that. Their time stretching algorithm is really powerful. So you can actually take a simple synth hit and really stretch it out and make it a pad or a drone. Another cool thing to do with samples is to just take your sample, throw it in your DAW like Ableton, and just chuck a whole bunch of effects on it. And when I mean effects, I mean anything. Just like throw some delays, throw some reverb, distortion, choruses, whatever you like. Just throw a bunch of stuff, even just randomly, and see what happens. And often, what you'll find is that if you change a few parameters in one of the effects, it'll change the whole dynamic and often the tonality of the sample also. And what I like to do is I like to render, those passes. Just take a pass, render it, take the render, which is now your own sample actually, put it back in your DAW and mess around with it even further. Stretch it a bit or just, reverse it, do stuff like that. Another really good tip that I have when you're using samples is often, you'll hear a really nice synth line, but you don't know what key it's in. If you're, kind of new and don't know scales and all that stuff, it doesn't really matter. There's a trick to this. And if you're a DJ, you probably already know. There's this great software called Mixed in Key. So what I like to do is I like to take all my samples and throw it in Mixed in Key, and voila, all my samples then are tagged and numbered. And instantly I know if I'm making a track in like an A major scale or whatever, it says so on my samples straight away. These are the samples that are in A major or whatever you're working on. So these are some of my tips and tricks. Stay safe, stay at home, make music, and hopefully we'll all get through this together. Take care.